Everyone, welcome to my vlog. So, mayong gabi sa atong tanan, mga Kabisayan o magandang umaga sa mga Katagaluga. So, yan. Huwag kalimutan po mag-like and subscribe. Huwag kalimutan pindutin ang bell para updated po tayo sa next vlog. So, we proud po tayo sa maging Pilipino. Dahil tayo ang pinakamayaman sa buong mundo. Ayan po. So, topic po natin today is Last Will Testament of Ferdinand Marcos. So, huwag na po itong taglin pa, padagtumbik pa. Magsimula natin, panoorin niyo po to. Talunan po niyo po to yung unang, hanggang sa dulo.
Last Will and Testament. Know to all men these present, that I, Ferdinand Marcos, the diffused codename AAA-777 and spiritual King Solomon of Israel, of legal age, married to Imelda Romualdez Marcos the Open, President of the Philippine Islands and General Holder of the following assets and properties entrusted to me by the Eternal Creator for the benefit of the people of the Philippine Islands to with a financial provenances, with a account number FM-01-777 worth of $120 octillion, spiritual Wonder Boy account number AM221-33334 worth of $800 octogentillion, and Alpha-Omega account number 999-222434 worth of infinite dollars that directly intended for the welfare and benefit of the people of the Philippine Islands. B. Lands provenances with original certificate of title number 779 under survey plan number 11-4509 with constant measurement of 451,000 square kilometers. Of the total land area covering the islands of Luzon to the islands of Cebu, and registered under Lands Act number 496 in accordance with the provisions ratified by and between the United States of America and Spain dated December 10, 1898 held in Paris, France with distinguished map, made in old printed from time of King Bernardo Carpio following bought through cheating of Spanish colonies, until bought by Dr. Jose Rizal illegally sold by Spain to the United States of America. Illegal sold by General Emilio Aguinaldo to the U.S. authorities and brought by the undersigned to the United States of America worth $20 billion or 10,000 metric tons of gold bars that preserved beneath the World Trade Center in New York City, USA, that directly intended for the welfare and benefit of the people of the Philippine Islands and c. miscellaneous authority provenances such as 1. Authority to freeze and defreeze against existing mother and extensive accounts. 2. Authority to monetize and demonetize and international and local currencies. 3. Authority to lock and unlock against existing mother and extensive accounts. 4. Authority to cease, desist and resurrect against mother and extensive accounts. 5. Authority to represent and expel signatures of foreign authorities in the undersigned. 6. Authority to meditate and direct international mover against existing mother and extensive accounts. 7. Authority to audit and sustain audit against existing mother and extensive accounts. 8. Authority to modify and revive against existing mother and extensive accounts and authority as keepers, authenticator and arranger of all physical precious commodities such as gold, diamond, silver and platinum, and 10. Authority to engrave and unengage printing of monetary currencies worlds after having duly sworn to in accordance with law hereby stated that, history. That the undersigned was sole holder of said assets and properties that entrusted through channeled events from King Bernardo Carpio or spiritual Judge Samson of Israel, who shared his testimony over said treasures of the Philippine Islands through papers of his legal deposits under White Mongolia account, and who acquired from foreign traders an Alpha Omega ring with old text printed paper from the time of Adam into Noah into Prophet Moses, Judge Samson, King David and King Solomon of Israel, that the undersigned hereinto will be transmitted directly to Anthony Santiago Martin with international recognized codename and number Spiritual Wonder Boy and AM-01 and Spiritual King David of Israel and legitimate husband of Lynn Grace H. Medina with recognized codename and number Spiritual Maria Christina and C1 C2 and Spiritual Bathsheba of Israel, which those treasures, way back time from year 965, were agreed upon and executed by and between King Carpio and foreign traders such as Mongols, Koreans, Indians, Malays, Japanese and Chinese, indicated that in exchange of trade and loan from the Philippine Islands, which the islands were very rich from physical gold, silver, diamond and platinum mines, that those traders must be paid twice of their actual loan materials. A sample is 1 piece of gold with 1 gram must be paid 2 pieces of gold per gram, and from year 965 to year 1000, Mongolia raiders traded and agreed such nature of trading in the Philippine Islands until they planned to rock and invade the Philippine Islands, and from time being, foreign invaders through Mongolia and Chinese counterparts were retrieved some remaining papers left by King Carpio, stating that before he offered sacrifice to block and hinder rolling stones in Mount Sierra in the town of Montalban and the nearby town of Rodriguez, Rizal Province, he left those treasures to the people of the Philippine Islands, and he stood Dali Delectuna Maria Bondahaw, a lady shaman of Mount Bondahaw in Quezon Province, or spiritual Delilah, to take charge as trustee over said treasures, and as time has passed by, Mongolia in aid of Philippine treasures invaded more lands in the Asian region, and when they took unpredictable empires they landed throughout Asia regions. Then from year 1206-1294 they invaded and landed more land in the western regions, including the Holy Land of Eastern Europe and some in the remote area of the American continents, until Mongolia and the reoccupation of more lands in the world, leaving said Carpio documents in China after they received downfall on year 1290s, until the Western civilization correspond invasion of more lands outside their area, and Spain was one of among European expedition and adventurer to conquest lands outside Spain, first in Latin America, then thereafter in the Philippine Islands. Spain and other European counterparts learned that those Mongolian treasures, used to be as retrieved from Eastern Europe, were sustained with Mongolian raiders, but they didn't know that those treasures were wholeheartedly influenced by Carpio's treasures. Those European invaders used that Carpio's treasures to invade more land outside of Europe and Spain, through cheating with blood compact by and between King Sikatuna and King Sigala of Bohol and General Miguel Lopez de Legazpi of Spain and Mexico, dated March 16, 1565, recovered some Carpio's treasures in Bohol province, as acquired by Malek de Bali, or Maria Cristina, a lady shaman of Mount Canlaon in Negros province, through Dali Delectuna, as said province was encountered Great Depression, so they shared some fiscal and food aid from Maria Cristina and Maria Bondahaw to recover from hungriness and leaving pain and heartbreaks among Filipinos, until Dr. Jose Rizal, or spiritual prophet Moses of Israel born, and spiritual David, in aid of great creator, ascend young Rizal until he ended scholastic profession in University of Santo Tomas, leaving suffering, unfairness, pain and distress over Spanish deans and priests until he met Maria Clara del Prado, or transferred spiritual power of Maria Bonahal, and hand over an Alpha Omega ring, leaving a message that he must be recovered documents of King Carpio in custody of the Chinese Emperor Guangxu. Then Dr. Yi Sao. Unclear Islands went to Hong Kong, where Emperor Guangxu visited Hong Kong. They, under the custody of the unclear Dr. Yi Sao, successfully gained that Carpio's documents. Then he fled Hong Kong to European cities such as Madrid, Vienna, London, Paris, and Berlin, with unclear carrying some miraculous gold mines. After Dr. Yi Sao European travels, he went back to the islands. Spanish rulers there persecuted him and put pain to him, persecution of Spanish regime, until he decided to execute death penalty to gunshots on December 30, 1896 in Bagumbayan, now Luneta, Manila. And before Dr. Yi Sao died an unfortunate execution, he left those treasures for the benefit of the people of the Philippine Islands, as he stood to be a trustee over said treasures of Carpio and Rizal to Maria Epifania M. Coronado-Castillejos, known as Mana Unclear, Sinicuan, and Spiritual Saint Mary, a material recognized Mother of Jesus. And through his death, the people of the Philippine Islands firm to be revolted against the Spanish colonies. And from the date of Dr. Rizal's death execution until obtained temporary liberation on June 12, 1898, Filipino revolutionists fought against the Spaniards until they overthrown in the islands, but the American authorities entered the islands after their ratification of treaty with Spain under the Treaty of Paris dated December 10, 1898 in Paris, France, and Spain sold the islands to the United States of America worth $20 million. 20 million American dollar, with an old Philippine map documents printed by King Carpio, and said map was entitled Titulo de Propiedad numero 4136, and time and again, the American authorities reoccupy the islands using that treaty in the absence of the Filipino representatives, and unfortunately, General Emilio Aguinaldo sold Titulo de Propiedad numero 4136 that has been bought by Dr. Rizal to Spain in the sum of $20 million, 20 million American dollar, that caused severely for Dr. Rizal to accuse by Spanish regime from Spanish monarchy to Spanish Governor General in the islands as seditious rebellion against Spanish regime in the islands. And they immediately cancelled and terminated all registered properties of Spain in the islands, including Titulo de Propiedad numero 4136, and they initiated to resurvey the islands under Survey Plan number 114509 by virtue of the mandate instruction made by President William McKinley to General Robert Torrens and President William H. Taft of the Philippine Commission to resurvey the islands in order to assure their legal occupation in the islands. And after they resurveyed the islands that measured approximately more than 451,000 square kilometers, covering the islands of Luzon to the islands of Sabah, by virtue of the Lands Registration Act No. 496 enacted by the Philippine Commission led by President William H. Taft, the Philippine Islands was entitled to original certificate of title number 779 under Land Survey Plan number 114509 and registered under Lands Registration Act number 496. The Americans modified and developed some educational systems, views, and lifestyles among the Filipino people until World War II occurred unexpectedly, and the Axis powers decided to retaliate against the world, which they professed that they never cited by the world after World War I. And Adolf Hitler, son of Ignacio Enrique Coronado, a traitor of Dr. Jose Rizal's face-alike, who went in Paris to claim Carpio's treasures for himself, managed Germany to start a global horror, and they associated with Italy and Japan. The world was horrified by the Axis powers, and they looted and alleged treasures of Europe without knowing that those were remains of Carpio's treasures. And Dr. Rizal also saved Alpha Omega ring in Madrid and other pertinent treasures in Spain that deposited by Dr. Rizal under White Vatican account, and Axis powers were delivered those treasures to the Philippine Islands without knowing by the Filipino people through the monitoring of General Tomoyuki Yamashita. son of Judge Alfonso P. Howe, whom entrusted by the undersigned to take seat of the presidency from year 1970 to 1983, while the undersigned was under processional steps to deposit under time versions of multiple stocks of physical precious commodities saved by King Carpio and Dr. Rizal for the benefit of the Filipino people, that caused to be brought the undersigned to shame and downward against the Filipino people. Some of those treasures were hid by Axis powers and still hidden in the mountainous proper, and some under the sea of the Philippine Islands that cannot ever be allowed to touch, to retrieve and to recover, to sponsor the maturities of the multiple certified deposits by the undersigned for the Filipino people, that caused to be sponsored the maturities of the multiple certified deposits by the undersigned for the Filipino people. And after World War II, UN case number 4136, some of the country claimants of said alleged looted and lost treasures by the Axis powers that reconsidered and reconfirmed by the International Court of Justice as assets and properties of King Bernardo Carpio and Dr. Jose Rizal were demanded to recover and to retrieve for their benefit of said alleged lost looted treasures of the Axis powers, that giving all claimants petitioners an exact date of 30 years from time of execution of said case to hunt elsewhere in the world and to retrieve for the benefit of their country. And the undersigned unexpectedly went to Mount Sinacuan, town of Area Pampanga province, to meet with Ma Epitania M. Coronado-Castillos or Maria Sinacuan, and he handed over the Alpha Omega ring to the undersigned and some maps of hidden Carpios and Rizal's treasures to the undersigned, as surrendered by General Yamashita to her and successfully obtained by Maria Raymond and Reyes or Maria Mikhailing, and identified as Queen Esther of Persia and Israel, and until the undersigned successfully gained office of the presidency on November 30, 1965, and the undersigned deposited in some banks in Europe, Asia and American, including the World Bank Group, and the undersigned defended the with right that by virtue of that international court rule, the undersigned obeyed international court's ruling that those treasures were intended for the benefit of the people of the Philippine Islands, and the undersigned successfully gained victory over Hanging Bridge when the international court ruled to reaffirm the conclusiveness of those certified deposits for the Filipino people, and the pleaders or petitioners never contested their plea before the statute of the international court, and they allowed to hunt within the mountainous and undersea area of the Philippine Islands, and the undersigned allowed those pleaders to hunt for nothing for some time on year 1980, because those treasures were identified and recognized by the international court as Carpios and Rizal's treasures allocated for the Filipino people. And sometime on year 1976, the undersigned bought the Philippine Islands with original certificate of title number 779 under survey plan number 114509 with constant measurement of 451,000 square kilometers of the total land area covering the islands of Luzon to the islands of Saba, and registered under Lands Registration Act number 496 in accordance with the provisions ratified by and between the United States of America and Spain, dated December 10, 1898, held in Paris, France, worth $20 billion, excessive from the original sum of $100 million, as officially priced by and to the American authorities, and under federal agreement made and executed by and between President Gerald Ford and the undersigned in the White House, Washington, D.C., USA. They agreed to recognize their lost assets and properties recovered by the undersigned as assets and properties of the Filipino people that still identified as assets and properties of King Carpio. The undersigned and Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II of England, in the Buckingham Palace, London, England, with leaving to Queen Elizabeth the physical ancient ring of Alpha Omega and some miscellaneous agreements made and executed by and between the undersigned and the United Nations Organization and the Committee of 300 held in UN headquarters, New York, USA. Thereafter, the tragic incident of the assassination of Senator Benigno Aquino Jr. sometime on year 1983 was brought a storm of presidency that caused the undersigned to leave post to Corazon Cojuangco Aquino, who won through cheating and revolt without knowing that the undersigned was only entrusted to the office of presidency to Judge P. Howe, and the undersigned didn't know everything about evil deeds of Judge P. Howe to the nation, like taking $40 million credits to the World Bank Group using a secret deal by the World Bank itself, the abuse of power of Judge P. Howe and Miss Patricia Remedios Santiago Trinidad, the acclaimed E.Marcos, and the proclamation of martial law without reaffirmation of the Philippine Congress, and through this the undersigned suffered more distress and disappointment among the people whom I wish to aid. Economic promise for their recovery upon strike of global crisis to be expected to come in the future, but still those assets and properties that the undersigned executed through galleries of documents that intending all maturities of said deposits to the Filipino people, general intention. Those funds upon maturities on year 2000 and beyond, shall reconsider to be intended for the following development programs for the Filipino people's profits. 1. Livelihood program to set and to engage Filipino into entrepreneurship program. 2. Scholarship programs to assist all scholars to perform their school works from primary to collegiate level. 3. Healthcare programs to assist all Filipino beneficiaries to maintain good health. 4. Disability/retirement/pension programs to assist all disabled/retiree/under pension Filipino beneficiaries to claim these benefits. 5. National infrastructure of urban and rural venture programs such as concrete roads, bridges, school building, hospital building, relocation buildings and railway systems such as ordinary railways, light rail systems and bullet trains. 6. Agricultural and irrigation development programs to assist all farmers and other agricultural workers to maintain and sustain their demands and needs. 7. Mining programs to be chosen by above-mentioned authorized party. 8. Industrial and other economic matters to assist more Filipino to perform workforce throughout Philippine Islands for their daily needs. Abolition. The undersigned do hereby abolished, at all cost and effect, Miss Patricia R.S. Trinidad declaimed E.Marcos, Mr. Fidel Valdez Ramos, Ignacio Enrique Coronado, Judge Alfonso P. Howe, L. Vincent Gutbersos P. Howe's appointed trustee, General Juan Ponce Enri Lee, Mr. Lucio Tan, Mr. John Go Kongway, Mr. Henry Sai, Senior Mr. Jain Augusto Zubelde Ayala, Mr. Eduardo M. Cawanco, Mr. Ferdinand Marcos E. Santiago claimed Bongbong Marcos, which the original one has already died sometimes on year 1975. Miss Amy Laxon E. Santiago Amy Marcos, Mr. Demetrio Bondoc Garcia, Miss Irene Cawanco E. Santiago Arian Marcos and other trustee names recognized by the undersigned, both local and foreign trustee including the Republic of the Philippines, and all maturities of above said assets and properties shall wholeheartedly be decided by the undersigned to modify in the future, and all accounts, either mother accounts and extensive accounts, shall, at all legal force, cost and effect, be automatically modified and interlocked, on or before the entrance of the year 2000, into new modified mother to be handled solely by Anthony Santiago Martin or Spiritual Wonder Boy for the benefit of the people of the Philippine Islands, and all aforesaid fiscal maturities shall, at all legal cost, force and effect, be automatically transmitted to any local registered banks in the Philippine Islands or to banks to be erected and established by Anthony Santiago Martin. Acknowledgement. As the undersigned agreed this agreement full will, good faith and authority, and as critically health emancipation, the undersigned do hereby give in this acknowledgement to Anthony Santiago Martin with international recognized codename and number Spiritual Wonder Boy and AM-01 and Spiritual King David of Israel and his legitimate wife Lynn Grace H. Medina with recognized codename and number Spiritual Maria Christina and C1 C2 and Spiritual Bathsheba of Israel as duly authorized signatory to execute and exercise full rights of authority exercised by the undersigned for the betterment of the people of the Philippine Islands, and no opposition or resistance from the undersigned are subject to be invoked, and no physical precious commodities, physical and authentic left or right thumbprint from the undersigned, and official seal of the office of the President and notary's seal are eternally required as to prove the undersigned's identification, and the undersigned only require Anthony Santiago Martin to present or submit to the United Nations Diplomatic Office in the Philippine Islands a copy of his certificate of live birth and his birthmarks, such as his small mole in the left corner of his nose and a small fat crab placed at the back of his left neck, and the undersigned shall recognize, reconsider and reconfirm the validity and authenticity of this form either in original or duplicate form, and submit to the United Nations Diplomatic Office in the Philippine Islands for further record. In witness and faith whereof, we have hereunto signed this form without any witness this December 20th, 1988 at the Buckingham Palace, London, Great Britain. Marcos left-hand signature, Marcos right-hand signature. His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos. His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos. Signed in left hand, signed in right hand.
Tapos nyo panoorin at panoorin yung video at inunawa. So ayun, nakita nyo pala sa video, So ayan po. At huwag natin tupik pa. Ngayon 2022, itamin nyo sa isip nyo, Bongbong Marcos for President. Na sila po yung hawak na yan ng Last Testament, mga Marcoses. So ayan, ang Last Testament na yan, at hindi yan makukuha yung mga pera na yan para sa Pilipino. Hindi yan makukuha kung hindi si Bongbong Marcos ang maging presidente, at kung hindi tayo magkaisa, mga Pilipino o mga Pilipino, gumising na kayo. Gumising na kayo sa katotohanan. Tayo, makiisa ba tayo para makuha pa natin, babinisyo natin ang Last Testament na yan. Para lahat na yan, mas natuparan na. So, ayan. Salamat po sa panonood. Huwag kalimutan ni like, subscribe at pinutin ang bell para dito po tayo sa next vlog. So, ayan po. Ang video na to, last video, galing ang video na yan, hindi pa na sa akin. Dinalag ko pa yan sa, kay Vlogger ba yun? So ayan, so salamat po, basta hindi lang sa akin video na. So salamat po, panoorin to. Ito lang ang ko para ipamagi po sa inyo. Thank you, salamat. To next episode po, next topic ko. Huwag kalimutan lang mag-comment